don't know Brandi. She came to us uh, during the pandemic. There's a nice silver lining to the pandemic. We got Brandi from University of Phoenix, and she's leading the UTO data success team. And we also got Alexander Persky, an awesome addition to the team, and Grant Mehrer we've had for a while. So four of us make up 2/3 of the data success team here at UTO, and we're excited to talk about the analytics portal today. So take it away, guys.
Thanks, Dixon. So glad to have you here hosting us today too. If I may present, let me go ahead and see if I can share my screen. Looks like it. Okay, and you guys who have rock and roll with me before know how good I am at presenting and trying to read my speaker notes at the same time. So bear with me here. All right. So we're here to share the scoop on the analytics portal. And I have this slide to remind me because I always forget, but it looks like Dixon's already got that on lock. So
yeah, we're recording.
All right, thanks, man. So thanks again, Dixon, for the introduction. As he mentioned, I'm Brandi Falls. I support the Data Success chapter, and I am also the product owner for the analytics portal. So I have some responsibilities there with acting as the voice of the customer, and we'll talk about what that means a little bit later, and making sure that the portal gets all of the love, care, and feeding that it so richly deserves. And with me, we have Grant Mehrer, who is a member of our data engineering chapter, and really the brains and the animus behind the development of the analytics portal. And he is the wizard behind the curtain that keeps everything working and rolling. So we're super grateful that he's here with us. And then Alexander Persky, newest, but absolutely not the least among us, his data and web development powers are supreme. So we are super, super happy to have him with us, helping guide the movement of the portal into the future. So with that, here's what's on the menu. We're going to give you a quick little intro overview. What is the portal? What's it do? How do we develop it? Then Grant's going to talk a little bit about who uses the portal, how we use it, what does it do? Alexander's going to give us a quick brief on what's happening now, some of the big exciting things, and then we'll talk a little bit about what happens next and where we want to go. And we've got a little bit of a homework assignment for you guys too. So on that, what is the portal? This is it. It's our homepage, and it is kind of a landing zone, our central area, a platform agnostic source for data analytics, reporting, and all of the fun business intelligence stuff that we rely on every day to do our awesome things. So this is an eye chart. I'm going to apologize in advance for throwing this much text at you on a Monday morning in a slide, but I thought it was important to share. This is our actual mission and vision that we've composed for the portal. I'm not going to read it to you, but I wanted you to see there really is a plan. There is some thought and some care behind how we're approaching the portal and how we want to develop and grow that platform in response to the needs of our ASU data community. So boil that down. That's a lot. So just some basic ingredients. This is kind of our North Star in how we look at development of the analytics portal and how we assess the current state. And we really look at usability, flexibility, scalability, and maintainability. And those are the keys for us to make sure that it's usable. It's central for our customers and the rest of the community to be able to get what they need there. If it's not easy to navigate, if it's not easy to find what you need, it's not a great user experience. We need to work on the usability that is flexible, because we're constantly changing. We're always adding new ingredients to that pot. So we want to make sure that it can be flexible and scalable and adaptable to what's coming in the future, and then maintainable. We are small but mighty. So the current Porter development core team is really Grant and Alexander. And we have a few student workers and a few other helpers who partner with us along the way. But if it's really, really complex and really, really customized, it becomes really, really hard to maintain. And then those other pillars tend to struggle. So that's the balance that we try to keep as we walk through how do we make the portal more and more awesome every time we work on it. So real quick, it's an opportunity for you all to engage with us. So if you have your handy mobile device, or if you want to join on your computer, you can scan that QR code or just go to slido.com. And when I ask you for that code, just type in portal.
I'm guessing that might be case sensitive.
It is all caps. Thanks for the prompt, Dixon. So I'll give everybody just a minute to get logged in there. All right. You guys didn't know there was going to be a pop quiz on Monday, huh? All right, let's go ahead and take a peek at our first question. The first question we want to ask is, I use the analytics portal. How often do you use the portal? Yeah, looks like we've got 49 participants, 23 respondents, 25. Let's keep going a little bit. All right. Anybody else want to give us an opinion there? Okay. Last call. So we have a lot of folks, it looks like, who go to the portal occasionally, maybe regularly. And then some of y'all maybe don't go out to the portal. You're not super familiar with it. And that's a good reason to be here. So we're super glad you're here. All right, next question. What is one thing that you're really hoping we cover in this session? So free text, go ahead, tell us what you think. And I will say we have a lot of content to cover, but even if we don't get to everything, there we go. We are collecting all of this information and we're going to review it very carefully after the conference to help guide what we want to focus on next and what additional information we're going to provide. Best practices, navigation. I'm seeing a couple of navigation. Yep, we were going to talk about that. How to find things. Training resources. There you go, Dixon. Okay. Okay. Looks like wayfinding is going to be really important. We are going to touch on that, and we're going to touch on a couple of things that we're coming into in our future development. Anybody else want to add a response in there? Okay. One more question for right now. Oh, nope. Sorry. We're going to move on from there. So we are going to chat now just a little bit about what, who, and how. So I'm going to pass it over to Grant Mehrer. Take it away, Grant.
Thanks, Brandi. I apologize, I forgot to update my pic on the bio slide at the beginning there, but if you don't know, that's President Ulysses S. Grant. So it's kind of a joke picture since my name is Grant.
Oh, I thought it was your dad.
Not quite. So yeah, I'm just going to walk through kind of the layout and the content that you can find in the portal and just an overview of what it is and who's using it. So there are, in the past month, we've had about 2,000 users visit the portal in 12,000 sessions. And each of those sessions on average is lasting just over 5 minutes. So there's a great deal of use out there. A lot of people visiting the portal regularly and getting in and using that content. So we do want to make it as easy to use as possible and really encourage that engagement with it. and make it the go-to place for all your data needs. And the way it's currently laid out is just that everything is organized in groups. So all reporting content, all custom content that's added there is in a group. It all belongs to a group. And groups really represent anything from a working team of just a few people all the way up to an entire college. They can represent anything in between there as well. So we have some groups that are just a handful of people, and some who are some groups that are all of analytics users can view that group. And so the groups are just the most granular level of audience that you want your reporting content shared with. And groups consist of a landing page. They all have a custom landing page where it's fully customizable with HTML. You can put images, custom embeds there, or links if you want to customize the navigation to popular content within your group. A power user can update that. And then groups have reports. So anytime that a power user publishes a report in our source systems, it gets synced into the portal and is available there for further documentation. You can add metadata and organization around those reports. And then groups can also have pages, which are just a custom web page, again, full HTML capabilities there for power users to add links and images to for further documentation or resources that their groups have. And then if you're looking to find content globally, if you're a member of a whole lot of groups, we have over 200 groups in the portal currently. So say you're a member to a whole lot of groups, there are a few dozen groups, and you want to find something, Explore is the way to do that. And Explore is just a search-based interface where you can look for content globally on the portal. That will be anything from documentation to group reports, group pages, or just groups themselves. And there is a known issue with Explore where a number of users, it returns no content for their searches. And we have a fix coming shortly for that. And Alexander will be talking more about our future work. But we are aware of an issue with that currently, and we're working to resolve that. And then the last thing I'll mention about the layout of the site really is the training and support section. And I'll go through some of what this looks like in the portal and how you get there. But definitely recommend checking out the training and support sections if you haven't been there already. There's lots of great content that's been added by the ETO analytics team there for everything from our entire analytics environment, not just the portal. So there's workspaces training and information on how to request a workspace. There's information on requesting new groups, on using the source systems like Tableau or Report Server. So as far as access levels, everyone comes to the portal with the same level of access to start out. And all faculty and staff at ASU, anyone in the ASU Right domain, have access to the portal to log in as just a basic user. And then all access beyond that, access to specific content, is based upon your group membership. And there's two roles that you can have within a group. One is group viewers, and viewers just have ability to run reports, to execute reports, and view content in the group. And then there's group power users, and power users are those publishers, the creators of the content. They can edit pages, they can add metadata and tags to reports. They can edit that group landing page to customize that however it need be for the group. And they can also publish content to those source systems to be picked up in the portal for viewing. And let's go to the next slide. So here's the Explore feature that I mentioned. This is the search page to find content globally. And you can see, you can navigate to it with the big blue Explore button in the menu there in the top menu. And then within this Explore page is a grouping of content based on its type. So there's, you can see the buttons there, the maroon buttons, reports, groups, or other content. So your reports would be obviously reports that belong to some group. groups themselves, or other content like pages and documentation and training. And then this top section that you see in the screenshot is actually, that's all content. So you can tell that there's a few different types here. That first item on the top left is a group. It says analytics group beneath it and identified by the person icon. And the other content showing up here is our reports, probably from that same group. But they could be from any group across the site. And next slide. And then we've got the My Content section. So this is really kind of like a personal place for you to go and get quickly to things that are relevant to you. I think a lot of people find this really a useful tool to navigate around the portal. And you can get to it with the big gold button there at the top in the menu bar, My Content. And when you log into the portal for the first time, if you haven't clicked a link or tried to follow a link, this is the page you'll get brought to. This is like your home page, sort of. So you have the quick links at the top to some useful resources, and then you've got favorites, and I'll show you how to favorite a report. And if you favorited things, they'll show up here. You have recent content that you have visited personally, and then at the bottom, it's not showing on the screenshot, but the bottom is popular content. So some of the content from the portal that has been most viewed by everyone on the portal. And again, a lot of people seem to find this as a useful tool to explore and discover new content, and then just to quickly get to things that you know you need. Next slide. This is the training and documentation area that I mentioned. You can get to all of these things from the support menu there in the menu bar. This is the documentation page specifically. So a lot of good stuff here. You can search through and find and sort and filter with tags and find all kinds of documentation on all of our tools within the analytics environment. And then we've got groups. So when you're looking for groups, you can use the menu item to get to the groups page. And by default, it will be My Groups. And those are groups that you are a member of. You have some membership, whether it's the viewer role or the power user role. And you can see in this screen capture, there's a few groups that have power user in gray italics there after the group name. Those are indicating that your role in that group would be a power user. So if you see that, you have edit rights to that group. Oh, can you go back? And then if you don't see power user there, you're just a viewer role. So you have like read-only access to that group. And then you've got the quick link there at the bottom of each group to its reports and its pages. And then lastly, there's a second tab up towards the top there where it says My Groups. There's an All Groups tab. So if you're not seeing a group in your My Groups that you think you should be a member of, or you just want to explore through other groups, you can go to All Groups. And that will show everything, all groups on the portal. And if you click on any of those and go to its landing page, there should be a form to request access there also. Okay, next slide. So here's just an example of a group landing page. Not a great screenshot, but this page again it's fully customizable. This can be whatever, it's up to the power users really. It's the power users and the group owner's responsibility to enhance this page. In this case, we just have some buttons that link to commonly used reports for this group. And that's a common thread, the thing that a lot of the groups do. And then on those tabs across the top, you won't normally see all of those. You should probably just see the reports and pages tabs. And those are reports and pages that belong to this group specifically. So in this case, it's administrative system access. You would see reports or custom pages that belong to it on those tabs. And next slide. And then I want to point out this feature. So when you're viewing a report and that report has rendered there behind this drop down, there's this details button up at the top. If you click that, you'll see all of the metadata for the report. And this is like really the heart of the portal. You've got all of this information about the report. with the goal of making it easy to find and easy to understand the content here. So this is a great example. You got your description, you got URL directly to the report in its source system where it lives. You've got a data area and contact information, updated dates, and then that star that's highlighted on the bottom there, that is to favorite this report. So if you select that star, or if it's highlighted in gold already, that report will be on your favorites list in My Content. And then on the right is additional info, and that's just a free text area that power users can use to add additional metadata. And I think this is just an awesome example of what they've done here, adding information about the source, the data sources, and the tables that this report is using. And that could be anything. So sometimes you'll see it empty, and sometimes it will have some wonderful info in there like this. So definitely check it out if there's reports you use frequently, or there's a report you're not sure, you're not understanding what the report is for or how to use it. Check if there's info there under the details tab. And then just a few words on the roles. So again, anybody who logs into the site, all faculty and staff have access to log in, and you start kind of in the same place. Additional permissions based on your role in any group. So you have that viewer's role, which will just let you navigate around and join any group. If you get to a group that you don't have access to, for whatever reason, if it's a direct link or you found it in all groups, there should be a request access page right on the front like this. That maroon button, when you click that, it'll take you to a ServiceNow form to request access to the group. And then that request access process follows a specific workflow where if there's a data steward who has some stake in that group, there'll be a data steward approval, or there'll be a group owner approval, as well as your supervisor's approval for membership there. And next. And then power users talked about, they have ability to publish content to the source systems where those reports live, as well as to create new group pages and edit the group landing page and those custom pages. And then it's not only do power users have the ability to add report metadata, but that's really their responsibility to enrich and enhance those reports and make sure they're visible to everybody who needs access to them. And next slide. So again, just this screenshot showing that this user here, if this is what you see, then you are a power user of this group. And then next slide. This is what a power user will see then when editing a report. And you've got all these different sections where you can add your additional info and descriptions, tags, and that sort of thing to help make the report discoverable and understandable. And then there's this section, one last thing on the right side there with, it says current state group members on the bottom right and change to group members. As a power user, you have the ability to make this report visible to a subset of your group, whether it be power users only or group members. And then you can also make it available to all analytics users. And what that means then is that the metadata, so whatever information is added here, becomes available to all analytics users. They won't necessarily have access to run the report, to execute it, but you'll be able to see all of the information and follow a link to request access to that report. And that is it for getting around the portal and the layout, and then I'll turn it over to Alexander for what's cooking.
All right, thank you, Grant. If we can go to the next slide, please, Brandi. So what we currently have in the oven at the moment is we want to basically address a lot of old issues in preparation for new features that we're going to be coming out with in the upcoming weeks. We want to upgrade to Drupal 9 and utilize the Webspark 2 framework that's been developed for us. We want to give users increased freedom for the page design. We want to utilize fully the ASU brand and the web standards. And then we want to make updates to Explore and Search. So next slide, please, Brandi. So what we're seeing here is really just an example of a small piece of code. Earlier when Grant was talking, he showed you a screenshot of the My Content page, and there were 5 top quick links on that page. So this screenshot that you're seeing is actually the code, a snippet of that code that's creating those 5 links. And if you look towards the right, there's kind of like a long sidebar to the right of that screenshot. So this is a very, and that's the compressed code. So this is a very long piece of code. So what does this have to do with anything? Why am I showing this to you? Well, since I've been brought on to the team, myself and Grant and I, we've really been going through the portal, and we've really been tackling a lot of older issues in order to make room for the new features that we really want to implement. Frankly, if we didn't clean up these old issues, then we really wouldn't be able to make any new advancements that we really want to. So when we're going through the code base and we see things like this, yes, it works, but at the same time, it's just kind of unnecessary. And this is a lot of code just to generate those 5 links. And they're nice stylized links, but the reality is it's just not necessary to do something like this. This particular piece of code, right, it uses React.js. It's 182 kilobytes, but as you go through different areas of the portal, we've actually found many different areas where there might even be multiple different sets of code like this, which really just bloats the page for our users, and it might just give you a less than ideal user experience. It makes the page heavy, it's kind of bloated. And because these things are hard coded, it also makes it very difficult to update and maintain. So if you want to change those 5 links, for example, you can imagine that you would actually have to log into the back end of the website, shift through this long set of code, and actually find what change you need to make that change, and then save it into the node. Now, for someone like me who looks at code all day, every day, for me, that would be extremely easy. But for any other user, that's not necessarily what we want to do. And we don't want anyone on the team, and we don't want any one of our users to have to deal with that. So we really want to make sure that in the back end of the analytics website, it's very easy for anybody to get in there and make whatever change that they need to make. So one thing that we definitely been working on is making sure that we kind of clean up this code like this that just really isn't maintainable. The second thing that we're doing is that once we can get all that cleaned up, then we have a free way, not a free way, but a free way to make our updates to Drupal 9, as well as implement the Webspark 2. Now, our current website is on Drupal 8, and making the transition between Drupal 8 to Drupal 9, it's really not a simple upgrade, at least for our website. For our website, it's much more a complete rebuild of the entire analytics website. So what we've been doing is, one, of course, going through cleaning up all of that old code, as well as once we get the D9 upgrade going. Another reason why we had to clean up a lot of that old code that we found in the last slide is because due to the architectural differences between D8 and D9, a lot of that code actually immediately broke. So that's another reason why we had to go clean all that type of stuff up. Now, the good news is, obviously, when we're making the update to Drupal 9, as well as Webspark 2, we get all of the features of Drupal 9 and Webspark 2. The analytics website has always kind of done its own thing. It's actually never used any iteration of Webspark. And the reason for that is just because of the APIs that we need to connect to and the data sources and the type of data that we need to get. We kind of had to go a custom route in order to make all of that work. So the benefit of doing that is, one, we can actually get the data that we need to get, but the downside of doing so is that it's very easy for us to get away from the ASU standards. And if we don't really update that and we stay up to date with those things, then we just kind of stray farther and farther away. So we're definitely been taking that time to wrangle everything right back to where it needs to be as far as ASU alignment. And once we've gotten switched over to Webspark 2, then we're going to be pretty much giving you the same experience that you expect with any website on the asu.edu domain. Now, in addition to Drupal 9 and Webspark 2, that also introduces something called the Layout Builder, which is pretty much has been completely redone with Webspark 2. What you're seeing here is a screenshot of that actual Layout Builder. Now, we spoke on earlier that some of the power users of our groups have 100% freedom when they're creating their pages for their groups. Now, that freedom kind of comes from, we give you a blank canvas pretty much. You can put whatever your HTML, CSS, JavaScript embeds, whatever you want to. You can put it into your group page and you can make your page whatever you want it. But if you're someone who doesn't really know how to utilize those things, then the reality is you don't actually have a lot of freedom. You just don't know what to do at that point in time. So the Layout Builder is going to solve that for you. And what the Layout Builder provides is basically a set of predefined content blocks, which are actually coming from the Unity design system. So if you don't really know where to start, if you're on your group page and you don't know where to start, you actually have more than 30 blocks that are pre-designed for you that you can choose from. In this particular example, I'm just showing you a FAQ and kind of like an accordion frequently asked questions type of deal. But you can get yourself familiar with everything that the Unity design system has to offer, and they're all going to be at your disposal. Now, even still, we don't necessarily want to just give you a completely blank page. So what we do have in the works is we're working on kind of same default starting points for you guys to start with, and then you can 100% completely customize them from there. In addition to the Layout Builder, obviously with Webspark 2, it's actually very important for us to match the ASU brand 100%. And of course, that's very important. Even though this particular website, the analytics portal, isn't necessarily an external customer-facing website, it's really just for ASU faculty and staff. So you're our internal customers, but it's still very important that we give you the exact same feel and look and experience as any other website when you visit the asu.edu domain. So that one's pretty straightforward. Next slide, please. Now, when we are reimagining Explore, when we did the Slido earlier, it's no surprise that a lot of guys, one of the big talking points was navigation. I think that's one of the biggest points of feedback that we received from the users of the analytics portal. Number one, how do I actually find my data? How do I actually find those reports? And number two, how do I actually navigate the whole entire website to find other reports that I need access to? A lot of users just weren't very satisfied with that, and we really took that to heart. Now, what we've done is we've really partnered with the design team here at ASU, and they've been able to basically design what you see here, which is the first iteration of our basically brand new, built from scratch, from the ground up Explore page. Some key points to highlight here is that basically you can search for whatever you want, whether it's going to be a report, a group, a page, a piece of documentation, whatever you need. And we're going to be able to pull in multiple data points. And then we can lay that out for you in a very, very simple and easy to read fashion. Again, we had quite a lot of feedback about the portal, and we decided that reimagining the Explore as well as the navigation of the site as a whole are the two things that we're going to tackle first. There's plenty more that we're going to be working on in the upcoming weeks, but this is definitely going to get our users the most bang for their buck, definitely. So at this point, I think I'll hand it back to Brandi so she can talk about the full vision for our future.
Thanks, Alexander. So I appreciate you going through the details there, and hopefully that helps give everybody kind of some perspective on what it takes to be able to make this site maintainable and scalable, and some of the heavy lifting that the team's been doing to be able to position us well to move forward efficiently. So Explore is the first kind of on our list of things that we want to be able to tackle, but coming right on the heels of that, there are a lot of areas of opportunity And some of the things that we really care about and want to touch on: my content enhancement, making that much more user-friendly so that you can easily go in, find the content that you want, and then once you've found it, organize it in a way that makes sense for you to be able to use efficiently. So that can really be your hub, your go-to place. Also working on our training and getting started experience, and Dixon is actually providing some support and assistance in that effort as well. And then of course, improved homepage and site navigation. So these are all items that are very high on our list, and they come directly from the feedback that we've received from you, from our participants, our users, our customers. And we get that feedback in a couple of ways, but one of those ways is by using this feedback button here, right in the top of the portal. And I'm going to go a little bit quickly because we do have just, I think, about 3 minutes left, and we have a little bit of content. I do want to make sure we have a minute to go through Slido. But one of my roles is to receive that feedback from you and to review everything and make sure that we're prioritizing what's really important to our user base. So we do listen, and we are working through that. And so I'm going to invite you one more time to come back to Slido and enter that portal tag if you haven't already. And there's one more question there, and that is, what is the one thing you would change about the analytics portal if you could? So this is an open text, so I would love to hear your feedback there, and I will leave this open for a little bit so y'all can continue to respond. Can I just get a confirmation from somebody that you are able to get back in the Slido? Okay, thanks, Tracy. I like that. As I mentioned, that feedback link is there, and definitely want to continue to hear from you. You can always also reach out to me directly. Grant Alexander, also happy to hear. And the Ask Analytics Slack channel is a great way to get in touch with us or say, hey, this is a good feature that we'd love to hear. Specific training. There you go, Dixon. Access requests. Access is a whole nother topic. We need a whole nother session.
Thanks for whoever mentioned the access request thing. We're definitely aware that no one wants to request access to 300 different groups.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to leave that open for y'all to continue to go ahead and respond to. But I do want to share with you, there are a whole bunch of links that we will make available. We'll post this in the ASU Data Community channel for you all to be able to review at your leisure. And again, connect with us. I think at this point, Dixon, I hand it back to you. Thanks,
yeah, we don't have a session after this, so no rush, but great job. You guys landed right on time. I just want to first off thank Brandi for hiring Alexander, because while he hasn't been with our team very long, I'm sure you guys can tell he's a rock star. So we're happy to have him. And I love Grant too. He started about the time I started 6 years ago. So we're very lucky to have the team that we have. Small and mighty, we're definitely listening to your feedback, and we appreciate your participation in letting us know what we need to improve. We want to make this as good as possible for you guys. So nothing else today with the conference, but show up at 9 o'clock tomorrow. If you need to see the agenda, that link that was at the bottom of the last slide, you could also just Google ASU Data Conference and it'll show up at the top of the Google results. And make sure if you want to give a shout out to a presenter or, say thank you to Alexander and Grant, and you can use that DC 21 Celebrations link there to give them a shout out, or just one of your colleagues. Maybe you have a data person in your team that you want to thank. Now's a great time to do that. Thank you so much to the presenters and to everyone participating in this. Definitely tell your colleagues about the analytics portal if they're unfamiliar. If anything you saw today was exciting, share your excitement with the rest of your team. We have many good things in the works, as you can tell here. So we're happy to